Hey everyone! If you're like me, those perimenopause symptoms are driving you crazy. Well, I've got a little help for you. All you need to do is go to my midlifewithcourage.com website, and a little box is going to pop up that's going to ask you if you'd like to get my free ebook called Balancing Your Hormones. It's a short little guide with tips that you can use throughout the day, super easy, to help you balance out those hormones through the things that you do. So check it out, midlifewithcourage.com. Now let's get back to the show.
You are listening to the Midlife with Courage podcast. This is where women in midlife come for inspiration, motivation, and sometimes a little education to help them flourish after 40. Let's get started. Welcome to another episode of Midlife with Courage. I'm Kim Benoit, your host, and I'm so happy that you're here. And I'm also very happy to have my guest here with me today, a lady that I wanted to have on the show for quite some time now. This is Melissa Abdouch, better known in our area and maybe more areas now as Mimi. Welcome to Midlife with Courage, Mimi.
Hi, Kim. Thanks so much for having me.
I'm so excited to talk to you. Why don't you go ahead, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about where you are in the world and what you do.
Yeah, so I am Mimi of Mimi's Cookies and Creamery in River Falls, Wisconsin. I've been in business just over 7 years and I specialize in cookies, but I do a whole bunch of stuff. And my main focus is just being a community hub, not just for socializing and enjoying good food, but kind of for a lot of different things.
Yeah, I love that about you, and we're going to talk about all that. When I get a guest on my show, I want to know kind of what we're going to talk about ahead of time. And Mimi, you have experienced so many things in your life. Can we
Yes.
just where would you like to start to just kind of
Oh boy.
talk just a little, let's just kind of give the listeners an idea.
Right.
It hasn't been all sunshine and roses for you and cookies.
No, no, no. So not everything has been so sweet in my life, right?
Yeah, good one.
But I have definitely had a great life. So I don't want to give listeners the wrong idea, right?
Right,
I've
right.
definitely had a very great life, but it has also had many challenges from very young on. So at age 2, I was diagnosed with stage 4 neuroblastoma. It had a 0% cure rate. It's a cancer of the nervous system. And the doctors actually didn't even want to treat me.
Mm.
And my parents said, absolutely not. Like, we can't take our daughter home and watch her go. So we went to the University of Minnesota, amazing doctor. I mean, like world renowned oncology hospital, and everything was a guessing game. And they did not expect me to survive. I did. They did not expect me to have children. I have 3 amazing, beautiful children.
Wow.
They thought I would lose all of my teeth. By the time I was a teenager, that did not happen. I just like so many things that they anticipated, honestly, because they didn't know. And here I am. I've served in the Air Force. I've graduated college. I own my own business. I've just like so many things that never thought were possible.
Right, right. Oh my goodness. I love this kind of story when someone, they were told, nope, you're not going to survive. I mean, the ultimate no. And then you say, I am. And your parents were like, nope,
Yeah,
that's not okay. They
right.
kind of,
Exactly. I can't imagine being a parent and being told there's
oh,
nothing we can do. I like it just, you know, I cannot fathom what my parents were thinking or going through at that point,
right.
but I'm glad that they were fighters and taught me to be a fighter. You can see my hair is coming back in now
Yeah.
because I've recently also gone through another battle with cancer. I was diagnosed in April with breast cancer.
Mhm.
And luckily, I caught it very, very early. I listened to my body. So, everyone listening right now, and especially the women, like listen to your body. So often we are told, oh, it's fine, it's nothing. I can tolerate it, so I don't need to be seen for it, right? And
Yep.
so, when it's possible, definitely have things checked out.
Yeah. I tell people, and I have to tell myself too, if I'm feeling something in my gut isn't right, I need to go after it and figure out, because your gut's right.
Right.
Most of the
Yes.
time it is.
Most of the time it is.
Oh my gosh. So you must have been instilled at a pretty young age that, don't take no for an answer, first of all.
Yes.
And and just, did you have like more of an appreciation, do you think, for life? I mean, that's kind of a deep thing for a younger person, but
right. I probably didn't realize it at the time. Like in my head, it didn't equate to what it does as an adult, right? Like, so probably as a child, I was just thinking, yay, now I can do all of these things that my peers have already been doing when they weren't laying in a hospital bed and hooked up to IVs and all of that kind of stuff. And so I, I'm sure that I appreciated and celebrated that as someone who's 4 years old can, right?
right.
But now as an adult looking back, I I do have a great appreciation for all of the things that I could do. Like for example, when I was going into the Air Force, it should have just been a simple I'm healthy now, pass my physical, and let's go, let's do this. But it was actually much more than that. I had to submit all of my medical records to the Surgeon General. I mean, so like they're just things that most people can just take for granted.
Sure.
And I've got to work a little harder for, but it just makes me appreciate them a little bit more.
I bet. Why did you decide to go in the Air Force? I'm just curious.
Well, my dad is an Air Force vet,
Okay.
and I took Air Force Junior ROTC in high school, and it was my entire life in high school. I loved everything about the program. Both my instructors were just two of the most amazing people I think I've known in my life.
Mhm.
And it just really inspired me to then also want to serve.
Yeah. Well, thank you for doing that too. I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
So what kind of things did you do in the Air Force? I love my dad was in the Air Force too, and my brother and nephew were all Navy. So we have the go Air Force and go Navy going at each other. But
right. That's awesome. I was a linguist in the Air Force. I studied, when I first entered AIT, I studied Arabic, and then I later transferred into Russian. Again, another thing I had to fight for. So this sounds very braggy, but
that's okay.
my test scores were so high for my ASVAB, they only wanted to give me a level 4 language, that's why I was in Arabic. But then I got sick, like I had a cold. It was something that took me out for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're studying a language, that's a long time. And so when I went back, when I was waiting for another class to start, I'm like, put me in Russian. I already speak a lot of Russian. But it was only a level 3 language. And so I'm like, no, it makes sense. Like, put me into Russian. And then eventually they did.
Oh, cool. Oh my gosh. Yeah, my grandma and my great grandma only spoke Russian, and I remember her as a child, and her and my grandma would talk, and I just loved it, and I wish I would have learned it. It's so pretty, I think.
It is so pretty. And I have one friend that speaks Russian. So every once in a while, after a few beverages, it starts coming back.
It comes out.
Yep.
That's awesome. Before you opened your store, you had a pretty long career in finance too.
Yes.
Correct.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about that.
I started out as an accountant at the VA when I was going to school, and I did payables, receivables, loved working with the vets then. And then that turned into an investment finance temporary position, turned into permanent. And then that was kind of dipping my toes in the whole finance side of things for accounting. And I loved it. I like learning new things every day, constantly being challenged. Like it was just a very interesting and intriguing, exhilarating field to be in. I was laid off and then instantly was looking for another job in that same field. And so then I was hired again for a company that I worked with for about 13 years. And through that process, I learned trading laws and regulations and custody regulations for dozens of countries, and signed $1 billion wires. I got to manage staff. I like everything about it was great. I was a trainer for the entire department, so I really had to learn so many different facets of it. Got to be a relationship manager with all of our partners. Like it was just a fantastic job and community that I was part of. I almost moved to Boston to further immerse myself in that
Oh,
industry
wow.
after they outsourced our jobs, and because I loved it so much. But then I opened Mimi's instead. So
So, so that I want to talk about that. So that's like two different things, to put it
totally,
mildly.
completely two different things.
So what was the thought
Absolutely.
process there? How did that come about?
Well, so when I was laid off, I got a very nice severance. And so I took an entire year just to spend with my kids. I had two that were still in high school. So I made a point to go to every theater performance, every sporting event, all of the things, every band performance. And then I started looking for a job. Well, I just wasn't finding the right fit. And as the time clock was ticking, like your money only stretches so far for so
Yep.
long. And I started baking cookies as kind of my just kind of de-stress, don't need to think about anything. And my friend said, you should do this for a living. I'm like, you're effing crazy. Like, that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard. Um, I can't bake cookies for a living. But then I really started to think about it. So I gathered up my closest friends and said, okay, if I'm going to consider this, I can't open a shop only having like 10, 12 recipes, right? Like I need a bigger
Sure.
variety than that. And so I just started doing a lot of experimenting, giving them to my friends to critique. And I needed everything. I thrive on feedback. And so I want to know the good, the bad, the ugly. If I get feedback that everything's good, you are out of the next round. I was very cutthroat with my friends. Like, I
You
want to
want
know, don't,
honest feedback.
yes. And I did. Two families ended up getting the cut. And so, because if I'm going to spend time doing all of that, I do need sincere feedback, right?
Sure.
And I think a lot of times people get very naturally defensive with criticism. And over time, I think I've just found a way to really receive that and accept that and take that as a catalyst to either do something different or plow straight forward ahead.
Sure.
I don't have to agree with the criticism, right? But I can
Right.
still receive it.
Right. Right. So you had all these people helping you with your cookies. And
Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, maybe this is a possibility. And then
so you're
took
starting to
it,
come around to making
right,
cookies for a living.
like, yeah, sign $3 billion wires, make cookies. Like, what am I gonna do? I don't know. And so then I took an entrepreneurship course with Catherine Fossler at
Oh yeah.
UWRF. That was probably one of the biggest catalysts to starting Mimi's. It was a very helpful program. I took a mini MBA program at St. Thomas. I just started working all these things because as much as I am a jump in with both feet, sometimes head first kind of person, I also like to know what I'm getting into. Like
Sure.
I'm very calculated that way as well. And so I did all of those things and I made a business plan and I started looking for a location. The mayor in Apple Valley tried to get me to come down to Apple Valley. I was doing cookies for their Christmas tree lighting for a few years. But I just knew that was not the right fit for the community I was trying to build.
Sure.
And River Falls was the top of my list and the only city on my list. And
Uh,
here I am.
Here you are. I love that you knew what you wanted to do, but you took your time to research and learn so that you would be more successful.
Right.
And I think that's really important, especially women, the women of the age that are listening, they might be thinking that they want to do a career pivot or try something new.
Do it.
Do it. Yeah, do it. But maybe, make sure that, you do a little bit of your own research too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. I, I made that change in my 40s. So
Mhm.
I'm 50 now. So I was 42 when I opened the shop. And so like I just and that was a huge change. It wasn't just like, oh, I'm going from accounts payable to accounts receivable. Like I'm going from international finance to a kitchen. And I didn't have any culinary training. I didn't,
Oh, wow.
other than being in the kitchen with my mom and, spending time with my grandparents. Like I didn't have that training,
Sure.
but I had passion and knowing that baked goods were not my only intention of having a business.
Yeah. So you also offer soups and sandwiches and that kind of thing, correct?
Yes, and nothing that is ordinary. So, although we occasionally make a chicken wild rice soup, it doesn't hit the list very often because we are doing things like Thai vegetable and curry sweet potato and bacon cheeseburger and, dill pickle soup with bacon. And like,
Oh
it's
my
just
goodness.
all of those different things.
Yeah. If you are in the area, you need to go and check it out if you haven't already. And
Thank
my
you.
favorite cookie is the tavern cookie.
Yes.
That's my ultimate
Yes.
favorite. I will always get that one if I'm anywhere
Thank
near your store.
so in addition to being my signature cookie, that's the only cookie I carry every weekend. It was the very first recipe that I ever created. That wasn't like inspired off the internet or things like that. Like that
Yeah.
was something that was
You're original.
my original. Yes, thank
I
you.
love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I was kind of looking more into how you're running the store and how you do that, you kind of have a neat concept for the people you hire to work with you. Can we talk about
Yeah.
that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I have a daughter who has autism. She's in her 20s and she's pretty high functioning, but she can't be left on her own. And so she very much wants to work and she's got a great job now. But it was always so difficult to find not only a good job that was more than sweeping floors, but with someone that we could trust, right? Like she's a vulnerable individual.
Sure.
And if anything were to happen, her cognitive and verbal communication skills just would not be at the level needed to communicate what had happened. So we really needed to make sure we trusted the people.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that she was doing more than just sweeping floors. Like if you're going to go work, it should be challenging and enjoyable for her like it is everyone else.
Sure.
And so when opening the shop, I knew I wanted to offer positions for special needs individuals. And it ended up being a great program. I haven't had staff for about 2 years now because of just different changes I had to make in the shop, but I will be back to that at some point. But my mainstream staff they would work as job coaches. And so they got benefit from being able to develop their leadership skills and their coaching skills and management type skills, and they were just in high school. And then the individuals with special needs that were going through the program would really learn life skills, right? So they were peeling carrots and cutting candies and like doing physical things that would translate into their everyday life, like so they could have these sort of kitchen skills, but of course also doing all the other stuff too.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. And you remind me of Chad Trainer, who has a restaurant in Hudson. You both
to
support,
be compared to Chad, are you kidding me?
I know, like you both support young people for one, and
yes,
and special needs is amazing too, and just the sense of community.
Yeah.
I know you've started a group for River Falls business leaders. Hey, ladies. I just wanted to thank you for listening to this episode. And I also wanted to remind you that there are a couple easy ways for you to support the show, and they are both free. The first thing, maybe you've already done this. That's great. Thank you so much. Go to the platform where you listen and click the follow button. Super easy. You'll get notifications of every episode the day they come out. If you want to get those notifications earlier, you can go ahead to my website, www.midlifewithcourage.com, and subscribe to the website. What that means is you'll get an email every Monday with an inspirational message and a link to the episode so that you can listen to it ahead of everyone else. So if that sounds great to you, I would love for you to do that. Join me on my website. You'll also get notified of some wonderful new things I have coming down the road. I can't wait to share them with you. So remember, follow and subscribe. Let's get back to the episode.
Yes. So I was new. I'm not from River Falls, and people were like, well, how'd you open a shop here? Right. So I had friends that lived out here. I love the community. it's very evident they supported small business. We have very few corporate or franchise stores here. And so I knew it would be very supportive. Mm-hmm. And as I started connecting with other business owners and managers and such, so I thought it'd be very great to create this online group so we could reach out to say, hey, I need a plumber, like my sink is overflowing, who has a good plumber? So it was like an instant connection, and I could get valid, good recommendations without having, to do too much research. And we could just be there to support each other. Mm-hmm. Or, hey, like I've run out of such and such and my shipment doesn't come for 3 more days. Does someone have that? Like, we're very supportive of one another and helping each other with those things. Mm-hmm. And then that quickly translated into, we are now a nonprofit group. People sponsor us. We put on events throughout the town. We do a taste of River Falls, which is a taste of everything that we have to offer. So all the businesses are River Falls businesses. We do ladies' night out, a potato soup crawl. We pick up some things that our local chamber has decided they are no longer going to do, but we found benefit from. So we do a lot of work with them. And it's just turned into this amazing community of over 400 business leaders, which means you're either an owner or a decision maker in a business or a nonprofit. And it just is really a great community. I love being a part of it. And I definitely love leading it. So
yeah, that's amazing. What keeps you going?
I don't know. Life keeps me going, right? Yeah. Every day is new and different. Usually I get a charge from when I'm open, just having new people come in and socializing. I'm actually very much an introvert.
You are not.
I am. Okay. I think the new term is ambivert, and where, yes. Right. And so I definitely thrive in controlled social situations.
Okay.
So at my shop, people are coming in, they're coming to my home, and I get to make them feel welcome, and I get to make them a meal, and I get to, serve them tasty treats and things like that. And so that very much drives me, but also it's a controlled environment. There's, it's my space.
Your space. Yeah.
And I want everyone to come into my space. Yeah. And so I love the connections I've been able to make in the community just by having that location. I've often thought, like, should I have just opened a food truck instead of a brick and mortar? Less investment. I kind of go through all the financials and stuff, but I don't feel I would have made the imprint or the connections that I've been able to make having that brick and mortar. And those are the things that really drive me. Like I wouldn't have met all the amazing families that have trusted me with their special needs adults to have employment. I wouldn't have had the opportunity to bring in as many high school students as I've had for their first time jobs, right? Like I got to train them before other people got to ruin them. And so
I love that.
And hopefully I've taught them to feel empowered and to ask questions and, things like that I know I was not taught at a young age being employed.
Yeah. I think that's so important for us, anyone, male, female, age, whatever, that to help kind of bring the younger generation up in a way that is helpful to them and not, you need to do this, do it this way just because, it's like, no, empower them to make their own decisions and do the things that they need to do. That's amazing.
At my last finance job, I would always tell my staff, like, if there's something that we have just done this way for the last 10 years, that's the first thing you need to question. That's the first thing you need to look at. Like, is there some new way to doing it? Maybe not. Maybe that is the tried and true way to do something.
Yeah.
But never fear to question and to ask and to, look, are there other ways to doing it? And I think the other benefit to employing young individuals in high school is they see things differently. Right? Mm-hmm. Like the world is different now than it was when I was in high school. And it definitely is different now than when my parents and grandparents were in high school. Like we've gone through so much change in the world and they see things differently. Mm-hmm. And so let them share what they know. Let them share their ideas. And especially in a business like mine where, hey, like you're my target market.
Mhm.
I want high school kids are one of my target markets. And so I want to know what you think. I want to know how I can draw more of you here. Like what would make this a great place to be for you? And so I just think we can learn so much from people that are new to whatever we're doing.
Right. I totally agree with that. That's amazing. And just to toot your horn a little bit too, I know you probably don't maybe want that, but I know you offer, because I've been able to be the recipient of this, like other people can bring their products into your store and kind of sell them. Do you still have that little retail kind of area?
I do. I do.
Yeah.
I have a retail space. It really focuses on local companies, so
Mhm.
local makers, and to have them be able to bring their items in and sell it. And some work great and some don't, and it changes all the time.
Uh,
And I always say, I need a crystal ball
yeah. Wouldn't that be
because
nice?
there are so many unknowns and changes, and every day is
Oh,
different. And but yeah,
yeah.
I it's just another way. I think it's so important to support local, and that doesn't only mean spending your money locally. But I do also encourage that.
Yes.
So, but just supporting the community. So I I like to do a lot of giving, like
Mhm.
like that's my love language, act of service and giving.
Yeah.
And so Mimi's has allowed me to do a lot of that. And but I just think it's so important to support the communities that we're in, right? Like the Rubber Falls community has supported me for over 7 years now. And
Yeah.
through COVID, like they showed up at my service window to still pick up products and
Yeah.
things like that. And they kept me alive. And to me, it's important to kind of reciprocate that, right? Like
Mhm.
I need to, it's just so important to support the people around you. And for a business, that means your community. And so I do as much as I can for that.
Yeah. I mean, it's truly when you give, you get back too when you need
Right.
it.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
it
Yeah.
works both ways. And I'm
Yep.
sure you found that out when you found your breast
Yes.
cancer. I'm sure things, I know I've seen on Facebook and all the social media that you were supported well. And anyway, but yeah, so it's a
Very well
win-win.
loved. Yep.
Yes. Yes.
And even so, I was diagnosed in April and I had turned 50 on April 1st. And as a way to celebrate turning 50, I actually campaigned for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society Visionary of the Year. And because I had done it previously, I was running as an all-star, which just means I
Uh,
wasn't competing against anyone locally, but I was just out there representing an organization that I have supported for decades and raising money. And I threw a big birthday party for myself out at the garage, Bikes and Brews. And, my friend Wade Snake came and played music. And I was like, we're going to do a silent auction. And I'm thinking a dozen items,
sure.
right?
Hmm.
So kind of reached out to a few people. And then one of my friends, Teresa, was like, I'm on this. And a dozen items turned into dozens of items. And we ended up raising over $12,000 in just 3 hours for that
That's amazing.
organization. And
Yeah.
then 2 days later, I got my diagnosis
Oh
of
my
having
gosh.
breast cancer. And so it was just like the community was just surrounded me to celebrate turning 50 and throughout that entire campaign. And then once I finally announced that I was diagnosed and going through treatment, they
Mhm.
rallied around me again.
Of course. Of course. Wow. I know you were recently on a television, one of the local news stations, and talking
Yeah.
about cookies and decorating. And so, what new things are coming up, or is there what's coming in the future for you?
Well, something I'm very, very excited for that, although was my brainchild, has now become a community collaborative thing.
Oh,
So March is Women's History Month, and I love celebrating and empowering women.
mhm.
I it's always feels wonderful to lift others up. And but something very unique to River Falls is that we have over we actually so right now the list is 173 businesses that are women owned. And
Wow.
that is only River Falls. That's not River Falls and surrounding areas. We have
Wow.
172 women-owned businesses, and those are just the ones that I've been made aware of. I'm sure there are a few that I have missed, right?
Sure.
And so this March for Women's History Month, we are collaboratively across the city going to have displays celebrating women in history. And so I'm excited about it. I feel the excitement of others. Others have told me how excited they are. They've already started brainstorming what their displays are going to be.
Yeah.
When I was on KSTP, I did mention, like, hey, this is one of the unique things about River Falls, and this is what we're doing this March. And they're like, what? We want to be a part of this. Like, we want to cover this. So hopefully this means that I will get another appearance on KSTP. Hope, fingers crossed. And I'm so excited to see what everyone has to put on display to celebrate the contributions women have made.
Oh my gosh.
Because there are so many. Many.
I would love to do something. I know I live in Hudson, but maybe there's something I can do, like video or some kind of a thing to kind of highlight it as well. So that is so cool. That gave me goosebumps.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yay.
I can't celebrate women enough. Like, it just, we're amazing. Let's just
put
it out there.
Come on.
Women rock.
Yes, the things we do and what we can do, and the things we've overcome. Like, heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah. I can only say heck because it's a clean podcast.
Right.
But, you know what I'd want to say, but anyway. Yeah. Awesome. Well, so I know people in this area love you and love your shop and love your food. And is there any thought of having it, like, doing nationwide cookies or anything like that, or is that not something?
Well, I ship. I do ship.
You do ship. Okay. Yep. That's what I was kind of trying to get to.
And recently I had shipped a box of cookies out to a TikTok family that I follow. It's a father-daughter that do reviews of sweets, and they do a lot of crumble reviews. And so I just messaged saying, hey, I didn't see you had a P.O. box listed, but I'd love to send you some treats. And so Cameron was quick to respond to be like, oh, that'd be so great, and gave me your address. And I said, 0 expectations of review. This is just because you and your dad bring me joy. Like, every single video they put out, I watch start to finish. Like, they're so just, you can just see what a wholesome family they are. I love them.
Yeah.
And sure enough, they did a review, and I think it's just shy of 200,000 views, which is really big for me. I get in the internet world, that's not like hasn't hit 1 million, but
it's huge.
Me, that's huge. And it resulted in, I think I was at like 18 or 20 different shipments to 12 different states. And so,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, that happened just before the stint on KSTP. So it's been a whirlwind, very enjoyable last month.
That's so cool. So if people listening aren't in our area, how would they be able to do that? Do you have a website that they can order from?
I do everything through Square. It's just mimi'scookies.square.site.
Okay. We'll put that link in the show notes.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm on all the different places. You can contact me about 80 different ways, and probably I'll answer at 2:00 in the morning because
that's okay.
I don't sleep.
Oh, no. That's not good.
Well, yeah.
Well, I feel like I could just sit and talk with you all day.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, but
and it's easy to talk about myself. So
yes, well, it should be. It should be. We all need to talk about ourselves more. So I'm glad that I can give you this opportunity to do that. But we do have to say goodbye at some point. So before we do that, is there any one last message that you want to leave with the listeners?
Yeah, actually, so something that I always leave students. I talked at a few different high school classes, and something I always leave them with is to remember that no one and no job is beneath you, right? So everything that everyone does is important. And if it's a job that you don't like to do, and don't think lesser of it, because someone who's doing it is allowing you to do what you want to do, right? So for example, the trash needs to get emptied, right? But no one likes to take out the trash. It stinks, it's messy, like it's tedious. No one likes to do it. However, when someone does that, and that's not you, you then get to do something that you want to do, right? So
Sure.
don't, just because someone is doing something you don't want to do, it's not beneath you. Like, and sometimes you're the only one that's there to take out the trash and you have to do it. So what, as a boss at the cookie shop, there were times my employees were helping guests, I was washing dishes, right? It had to get done. Or they were in the middle of mixing dough. That has to get done. I don't like to do dishes. I have staff. Why should I have to do but I was doing dishes, right? Like,
Yep.
so no job, no person is beneath you. And you will definitely enjoy more when you can see that.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Awesome. Well, Mimi, this has been a joy and a pleasure, and I'm sure that I will talk to you soon.
Yes, sounds great. Thanks so
All right.
much, Kim. Have a
You are
great
very
day.
welcome. You too. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Midlife with Courage podcast. If you liked what you heard, I would love it if you would leave me a review. You can do that on Apple or Spotify, or even better, send a link of this episode to a friend. Until next time, take care of your beautiful self.